Tons of players don't even realize that they are playing rock, paper, scissors, shoot in the First Descendant. Now, you might be sitting there scratching your head, wondering what exactly I'm talking about. And this is something that has just been in your face the entire time, and you might not have even realized it. Now, if we're looking here at my guns, I have the Zestra's Devotion. I also have my Tamer, and then I have my Six Voice Proof on right now, right? Now, the thing is that if we look at the thing that is up under it, which is the type of gun it is, you'll notice it'll say hand cannon, right? But there's also a symbol right next to it. Then you'll look right under the Tamer, it says machine gun. There's another symbol right next to it. And then you have on the Sigvor's Proof, again, it says launcher and a completely different symbol. Now, the thing is you probably haven't honestly correlate this to anything, and you may have been using it right or probably not using it right. And the thing is that if we go into the details, and this is what you can do on every single weapon, you will notice that it will say either burst, right? If we click on this, it'll say crush, or it's going to say pierce. Now, these are three different damage types that you have to be aware of. And this is something that is a huge part into something that a lot of players are struggling with. And this honestly could help you immensely when trying to decide what type of guns you might want to bring in conjunction to obviously attribute, you know, if you're doing a certain type of elemental damage, or if you have a certain burst rate for certain types of components, if you have to destroy cells, etc. Right? It's a lot of layering that goes into it, but this is the base fundamental thing that you have to understand, because otherwise you could be actually bringing weapons that are just extremely ineffective. Now, what exactly is this? So let's actually read this. So it says this symbol, right, indicates the piercing damage type, and this damage increases when attacking with a damage type superior to the opponent's damage type, right? So there is basically a like I said, a rock paper scissors system. Now it says attacking with a damage type inferior to the opponent's damage type does not decrease damage. Okay, so what this essentially is doing is indicating that if you have the advantageous type, you're going to be able to deal more damage, right? And one last thing that I want to throw in here is that pierce is greater than crush, crush is greater than burst, and then burst is strong against pierce. Okay, so that's essentially the attack order. And again, remember, it says if you are attacking with a damage type that is inferior, it is to the opponent's, the damage type does not decrease damage. So you're not going to take less damage, but just keep in mind that this is something that can allow you to hit those weak points with allowing you to be more effective in breaking and getting those bosses down much quicker. Now, the thing is that if we go and look, where does this and why does this matter, right? Because you might just say, well, Zox, I'm just killing stuff. I'm not thinking about that. Well, as you get into harder content, this is something that you kind of start to want to be aware of, especially for those of you guys that are looking at trying to navigate the game on your own. I know that there are some guns that people have found like, oh, super meta, might as well build these. You have to build these, right? But a lot of people probably are going to want to experiment and maybe might have gun choices of their own that they want to try out or test out, or they're building someone that's not really favorable. This is something you have to be aware of. Now, if we go to the Void Intercept battle, right? This is one of the first places that you'll be able to visibly just see it, right? Now, if we say we want to do the Dead Bride, weak point type, right? A lot of people probably seen this and probably paid it no mind. They're probably looking at the first couple of things is attribute resistance. So let me bring my attribute damage. Oh, she's very weak to fire, right? So I'm going to bring that. Oh man, let me bring some attribute resistance so I don't get nuked, right? From whatever status effects and other things that's going on, right? And people have been so fixated on that, they're not even realizing that she literally has a weak point type, right? And this is going to directly affect. So if you notice, right, on each of the intercept bosses, if you look at where it says destructible parts, this weak point type, this is where you're going to have to keep in mind, obviously, she has piercing as her pieces, right? So the sensor on her head, her core cover is pierced, and her balancer on her knees, right? And the thing is that as she changes and goes through different phases, right, you have the shoulders and the core, which are removable parts, all pierce, right? And then when frenzied, she has a crusher, right, on the amplifier. Now, this is something that you can also, again, change your weapon and you will be able to hit that weak point damage type, right? So keeping in mind the system. So the thing is that overall, at minimum, you want to make sure you have a gun that is burst. So actually, one of my favorite guns to bring in here specifically, and if you notice, I actually have to fight this boss quite a bit, is my Disastrous Devotion. I think everybody gets this gun for free. So this is actually quite an effective gun, simply because one, what it does, but then two, it is the type for hitting those weak points. This is going to allow you to have more break moments, right? You're working towards getting the boss to stagger, because that's actual moments of just seamless DPS where you don't have to worry about the boss moving, the boss isn't teleporting, the boss isn't doing a field effect, the boss isn't doing anything. And so this is a huge component to allowing you to be able to, I would even say, scale the potential DPS output that you could do without you having to feel like you're being Spider-Man all the time, right? So these are important things that will separate you from those that are pros and those that are, I would say, noobs, right? Like these little minute details are going to be super effective in allowing you to be able to power spike more in the game. Now, you also factor this into specific guns that fit into your specific build, you're going to become a lot more effective. But I will say, for those of you guys that aren't really like sure on what ultimates you want to work on yet, it is perfectly fine to find a couple of different rare guns that fall under these different weak point damage types and bringing these into the fight to help you be more effective. Now, again, this is just something that I wanted to make sure that you guys understood, because I knew that a lot of players were not actually taking advantage of this. And this is a huge thing that can help you with being a more, I would say, potent factor in a team comp, or even allow you to get closer to soloing different pieces of content. Because again, if you don't understand the fundamentals of the game, it's going to be much harder for you to graduate into the next thing. And that's the entire point of each single video that I'm putting out, is to help you guys with graduating into the next thing so that you can become an even better player. So in the next few videos, we're going to actually be getting into graduating, right? So we're going to be focusing more on graduating modules, and we're also going to be focusing more on figuring out who it is and why you want to focus on a specific character. So with that, if you found yourself enjoying this video or found it helpful, make sure you guys subscribe. But other than that, I appreciate you guys for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Everyone, stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.